Live. Hey, what's going on, Nolan Nation? It's CJ Wilson with Dope Talk. Appreciate you guys for coming to hang out with us on this Sunday evening, taking a little bit of time out of your day. Speaking of Sunday, we're 1 week away from the season opener. I know it's been a long time coming for Nova fans, especially after the end of the 2022 season. Well, we're finally here. And speaking of the season opener against LSU, make sure you guys grab your tailgate ticket if you're going to be in town. Me and James Coleman and and Chris with Sporadics are throwing a big time tailgate. Did one with Oklahoma last year to close out the season. It was a blast in Orlando. So we can't wait to open it up again with LSU. There's been a lot of buzz around this game and a lot of buzz around this tailgate. So if you haven't grabbed your ticket, go ahead and grab it. It's in the description and in the comments section. Go ahead and get started with the show. We have a big show for you guys. We have On3 National Recruiting host Josh Newberg. He's going to come on and talk recruiting with us. Speaking of recruiting, we did have some information last week. There we go. Josh, how you doing, Josh?
Hey, what's up, man? Good to be here. First show, huh?
Yeah, first show, man. First show of the new show, Dope Talk. I appreciate you coming on. And also appreciate the support too, man. You've been real supportive along the way in regards to just any advice, anything like that. I've been able to ask you. You've been real supportive, so I really appreciate you for that.
Absolutely, man. I've told you from the get-go that anything you needed, I'm here for you. So, you start a new show. I didn't know I was going to be the first guest. I think that's kind of an interesting choice of yours, but
Interesting.
glad to be here nonetheless.
Yeah, well, leading to the week, I thought it was going to be some fireworks for FSU. It started off light that, well, it looked like it was going to be some fireworks on the recruiting trail with Zaquan Patterson. Unfortunately, he did end up choosing Miami over FSU, but I think it's kind of the beginning of that recruitment, so to speak. He did say that he wants to take a couple of visits to FSU, a couple of home game visits, including official visit and official visits for the other teams that's in contention for him. So yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit more buzz in regards to the recruiting with Zaquan Patterson, but it's still a lot of buzz with FSU, especially how they closed in July and brought the fireworks into August with the KJ Bolden commitment.
Oh man, KJ Bolden, Charles Lester, the chips were just falling. It was too good. It was happening. It was coming too easy for Pat Surtain, who a lot of FSU fans are trying to run out of town already before the kickoff. The first
Yeah,
game even
kickoff.
kicks off. They're trying to run Pat Surtain out of town. How dumb do they look now? But hey, okay, so a little bump in the road with Zaquan Patterson, no doubt. But really, if you look back at, like you said, if you look back at that recruitment, Miami was always kind of the team to beat. Of
Correct.
course, FSU picked up that momentum. Maybe it was, just some of the hype coming off of those two huge commitments. But that being said, Zaquan even himself said that he didn't make his decision really until midweek or late in the week. So I think that Florida State will take a slow approach here, let him kind of calm down, let everything calm down, let the season get underway, and then they'll continue to stay in touch with Zaquan and try to flip him at the end.
So FSU is currently sitting top five recruiting class. This is new territory for Martin Norvell and FSU, right? A lot of people are shocked in regards to the fireworks down the stretch for FSU, not necessarily down the stretch within the last month or so for FSU. Just looking at the couple remaining prospects they do have, how do you see FSU finishing within the recruiting ranks? I know we spoke in the past about things to possibly get within the top 10, but now they look pretty firmly within the top 10 with a couple big time kids left on the board.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, you look at Zaquan Patterson, he's a top 100 guy. I think they have a good shot. Jamari Howard and Zay Mincy in the defensive backfield. That's probably what the board looks like, or at least the top of the board looks like right now. But I think the big question is, what are they going to do at defensive tackle?
Right.
It's been kind of a question for the last couple of years. I think we always end up scratching our heads about this time, wondering what the D tackle board actually looks like. Um, they missed on a couple local guys in the state of Georgia. They missed on a couple in the state of Florida. Do they just go back and rely on the portal? I mean, the portal's been good to them. They got a couple young guys on the roster. You could supplement it this year with a pick or two in the portal. But I think that's probably the biggest question mark. On offense, things look really good. You want to see if they can add that five-star wide receiver down the road. I don't think anything's imminent there. And they need another offensive lineman or two. But really, this class, the foundation of this class is set. They have a top 10 class as it stands currently. Are they still at number 5? I haven't checked through
Yeah,
the
still number
weekend.
5.
They're still at number 5. So they have a top 5 class heading into the season. Um, at the end of June, I don't think a lot of fans saw a top 5 class heading into the season. So July and August were really good to FSU, even if they didn't land a Zaquan Patterson at the end. There's still some big pieces left on the board, but I want to see what they do in the trenches.
Yeah, I agree. Defensive tackle room overall, well, not necessarily room, the recruitment has been a question mark the last couple of years. I know we have Artavius Jones, who's committed to Miami. FSU has recently turned up the heat on him. We'll see how that pans out. But I want to talk about some guys specifically, like Luke Cromahawk. He's been shooting up the rankings within the last year or so. Didn't well, last year's his first year starting, if I'm not mistaken. The previous
Hmm.
2 years, he was a backup to a quarterback that committed to Auburn. I forget his name, excuse me. But just talk about Luke Cromahawk's prospects and how he's ascending up the rankings as up the top 100 rankings.
Yeah, we're pretty high on him here at On3. Talked to Charles Power about him a couple times this summer, and he didn't want to move him too far because the whole season has to play out. So we're keeping a close eye on Croman Hawk and how he looks. But Charles was out there at the Elite 11, got to see him in person physically, and just knowing how little experience he has, you kind of take that into account. But this is a big year for Luke, and so far he's come out and he's looked good. He's played well. It'll be interesting to see what he kind of does over the next 7, 8 games, and then see if he can take his team into the playoffs or deep into the playoffs. Um, but overall, I mean, they hit on him early, right? They hit on him before he had even started a high school game. So I think not only the loyalty is there from Luke, but also just a deep relationship. Florida State had already developed enough of a relationship with him and his family to get him committed before he started a high school game. So they've been there for the entire ride. I think this is a great lasting relationship that him and Mike Norvell have, and I do think that is important. That chemistry that the head coach and the upcoming quarterback have.
Agreed, agreed. And just to have that piece in the fold kind of early is a big key for a lot of schools. Rather, they want to have that big fish in the quarterback kind of committed early so they can recruit the rest of the class. And speaking of the rest of the class, you have it was a little bit of controversy down the stretch with Charles Lester. Well, I say a little bit of hype build up with Charles Lester, rather, in regards to his commitment. We got that fishing in the fold. And Charles Lester, once he committed to FSU, he was like a madman in regards to recruiting on the trail and kind of got in the ear of KJ Bolden. Just from what you've been hearing, how did that situation happen with KJ Bolden, where FSU pretty much just jumped into the forefront of his recruitment?
Well, I think two things happened. One, I think that Florida State obviously put a hard close on and landed him. But I also think a bit of it was outside of FSU media. I think people were just sleeping on FSU. So I think that it felt like that they came up. Also, if you just look at his recruitment on paper, he never took an official visit to FSU. So if you are somebody that covers primarily Auburn or Ohio State, you could certainly look at the fact that he didn't even take an official visit to FSU as maybe a negative. But instead, in hindsight, now that he's committed, we look at it as like, oh, he was such a fan of FSU and loved FSU so much that he didn't need that official visit. He was actually saving that for when he was committed. So it kind of looks different now. But I don't, obviously FSU pulled out all the stops and did what they had to do down the stretch to land him. But I think a lot of it was kind of other teams, writers, mainly just sleeping on the fact that FSU was in there from the beginning.
All right, Josh. So we're sitting at currently number 5. Do you feel like FSU will have a top 10 recruiting class once December rolls around? Or do you think they'll stick within the top 5 and have something they haven't done in a long time since the Jimbo era, back when Jimbo, the brown jacket Jimbo was getting
Yeah.
top 5 classes back to back to back. So do you think we could stay within the top 5, or would it be a lock for a top 10 class?
I think top 5 will be hard as long as, well, it will be hard if they can't land another top 100 guy like a Zaquan Patterson or an LJ McCrae's just outside the top 100. Because, there's still some big names on the boards. There's still going to be some movement taking place. But for Florida State, if they just go out and they win 10 games, they do what they did last year, there's expectations this year. So unlike in past seasons, um, you have some momentum, but Florida State is not Georgia. Florida State is not Alabama. Florida State cannot afford to slip up again on the football field and think that they're just going to keep everything that they've acquired so far. So I think if they go out and they live up to expectations, I certainly think that this class can finish right around I'd say 4 to 6 to 7. Um, yeah, I think that's an outstanding class that it instantly answers the question of whether Mike Norvell can recruit the high school level. If you're pulling a top 4, 5, 6, 7 type class, you're recruiting with the best of them, and it goes to show you that a lot of your of recruiting correlates to your winning. If you win, you recruit better, and if FSU can keep winning, they're going to keep recruiting better.
All right, so last question, Bird. Speaking of the 2023 season, just what's your take in regards to how FSU will do this year, and also the job that Mike Norvell has done within these 3 to 4 short years. At first it looked real grim, and last year they came out of nowhere and shocked a lot of people. When even going back to the 2022 year, they started on 4. You have that terrible half against Louisville, and then the light kind of went off, and there was a second half surge against Louisville. Fell short of that game, and then finished the rest of the season going 5-2 down the stretch. So to speak about no, sorry, yeah, 5-3 down the stretch. Excuse me. So to speak about the turnaround from year one to where we are now, what do you feel like the expectations? Well, not necessarily expectations. Your thoughts on how the season will go for FSU this year?
Well, I like to look back at my time at Knowles 24/7 and think about where I was wrong. And I don't know if I was necessarily wrong, but I was harping on the fact that Florida State did not Mike Norvell did not take a transfer quarterback when he arrived at Florida State. And obviously there's a hundred and thousand decisions that happen every day that play into where Florida State is today. But I think the fact that he stuck with Jordan Travis and developed Jordan Travis is the single reason why Florida State is where they are today. And I asked him when he came on there, "Are you going to take a transfer quarterback?" He was adamant right away. Just no. He had the answer ready to go, and it's paid off. And it took a while. It wasn't easy. I mean, it was a very bumpy road for Jordan Travis. Kenny Dillingham played a big role in his development as well. But the fact that Jordan Travis is playing at the level he is, that's what happens in college football. You're only as good as your quarterback. And if you go back the last 20 years, Florida State's record pretty much correlates with the caliber of quarterback that they had at the time. And if you think back to when Florida State was really bad 4 or 5 years ago, think about how bad the quarterback play was. Now they win 10 games. Think about how good the quarterback play was last year. So if there's anything that I could just point to singularly, and there's a million different reasons why they're here, I think it's the development of Jordan Travis and the job that the two of them have done, Mike Norvell and Jordan.
Yeah, that's a good point. So give me your season prediction, Bird. Let's put you on the hot spot real quick.
Season prediction. Oh man. I got him at 10 in the regular season. I got him at 10 wins in the regular season. I think that we're going to be talking about a playoff berth if things go right. If they win 10 games, they should be right there, depending on how things play out. But I'm excited. I'm excited for LSU. Unfortunately, I can't make it to your tailgate. It sounds exciting. The food there sounds great. I know anything James is involved with, there'll be plenty of alcohol, too much alcohol there.
Oh, yeah,
So
most definitely. 100%. I'm looking forward to it.
no, it's fun. Little controversial though to have me on the first show. I must say I you asked me like last week, and I said yes in the DMs, but then I realized this is your first show coming off the big three or the roll up, and you're having me on.
No, I mean it's strictly business. Like I told you, I never had any issues with you. We was always pretty good. Whatever I guess situation happened, that had nothing to do with me at all. Um, Business is business, and I feel like you're one of the best to do it. And I feel like it was great timing, especially coming off of at that point in time, feeling good about a certain recruitment and thought some buzz would come. But again, still, nonetheless, to have you on for the show is always a pleasure to give your insight and things in regards to recruiting. I feel like it's not few that are better, man, because you go way back, as far as covering this sport and FSU specifically. You one of the OGs in regards to the recruiting efforts in regards to FSU. So to have you on, man, it's nothing but a pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I'm just excited to be watching. It's weird watching it. Now I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and this will be my second season living out here in Nashville. So it's a little different perspective. And it's also weird living here at the uprise of Tennessee. It's the last time they've done anything in the last, 20
Right, right.
years. And all of a sudden I'm in the middle of it. So that's been kind of interesting, but it's also interesting watching Florida State season last year and kind of as the national media or the national fans kind of pick up on what was happening in Tallahassee, like, oh, they are for real. Now there's an expectation all of a sudden. Last year the question was, are they for real? Now there's expectations. There was recently a off-field symposium that's held here in Nashville where all the off-field coaches come, and I saw Keywan Ratliff and I saw a couple
Mm.
others from Florida State, and we go way back, and I just kind of looked at them and I just kind of like, hey, for the first time in a while, what's it feel like to go into the season with actual expectations? Before, for the last 4-5 years, it's always been like, oh shit, hold on to your pants because we don't know. Like, we honestly didn't know what we were in store for. And
Right.
now all of a sudden, these are the same coaches that were there when that feeling was around. And all of a sudden they're entering this season with expectations. And I don't think they've ever really had that. So I felt like I needed to remind some of the coaches that there are expectations.
Yeah, they got to understand, man. Like you said, they're kind of new to it, but Mike says it all the time. The standard is a standard, and if you erase these 4 years, man, FSU has a standard. So where we at in regards to the preseason hype and things like that, this is the norm for FSU and where it should be at when it's done right. I feel like Norvell understands that, and he's taking the bull by the horns.
Yeah, definitely. So I appreciate it. I'm excited. If we let's get on and talk again, as the visits heat up and all that. But anytime you want to chat recruiting or anything, just holler at me.
Most definitely, man. Appreciate you, man. Take care, Bird.
All right, see you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Josh Newberg, on three national recruiting host. And Josh made a pretty good point too in regards to maybe possible mistakes, so to speak, by Norvell, this, that, and other. That's one thing I will say about Mike from the early years to now. He learns quickly. When it comes to mistakes, he doesn't make the same mistake twice. He's a guy that learns on the run, and like I say, he's not a guy that makes the same mistake twice. He definitely corrects anything that goes wrong, that he sees that may go wrong. Excuse me. And that's I think that's the virtue of a good coach, man. Not arrogant enough to understand, like, hey, I messed up here. What can I do to correct it so I don't make that same mistake moving forward? Forgot to mention this earlier. Um, a lot of you guys were mentioning about the super chats and donations and things like that. Unfortunately, YouTube, you have to get a certain criteria, subscribe wise, things like that, in order to qualify for the super chats. But in the meantime, until we get to that criteria, you guys can Vimo or Cash App or Doe Talk, and we can get any questions you guys want answered. If you just want to support the show in general, it's there for you guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Like this video, excuse me, and subscribe to the channel. Let's talk a little ball, man. Let's talk about some 2023 expectations. The 2023 FSU Seminoles. There's been a lot of hype after the 2022 season. Bring back a lot of talent. Got some guys in the transfer portal. Long story short, we got a lot of people attention this year. So the eyes are on us. So let's talk about the season expectations and, in my opinion, how the Seminoles to do within the 2023 season. So real quick, in-season predictions. We're going to go game by game. Let's jump right into it. We got game one against LSU. We went 9-3 last year. SEC West champs. What can I say? Brian Kelly. I feel like he's one of the best coaches in the country. Really good coach. Did an amazing job at LSU within year one. Did a great job at Notre Dame, just making them, consistently a consistent winner, consistent team that was mentioned within the playoffs. Whether you guys feel like they will win the championship or not, just consistently, they were one of the better teams in the country to even be mentioned in that conversation. So BK is a really good coach. Bring back Jaden Daniels. Look at the game last year against us. Didn't really do anything much with his arms, but his legs really killed us. He was running around a lot. Down the stretch, not necessarily down the stretch of the season, over the course of the season, he's gotten a lot better and made some plays for LSU. So the senior quarterback decided to come back. It's good to have that type of leadership back on the roster. Will Campbell, shout out to Will Campbell, man. He earned the right to wear number 7. As you guys know, number 7 is a legendary number for LSU. It's one of those numbers that's reserved for the best players on the team. I thought it was pretty interesting. Sophomore left tackle. First of all, I was given to a tackle at that, but a sophomore. Uh, got killed last year against us. To be quite honest, Jared Verse pretty much did whatever he wanted to in that game, but it was his first start. Got better over the season. Should be a very good left tackle for LSU over the next couple of years. Elite Neighbors, the big time playmaker at receiver, had over 1,000 yards for LSU. But other than that, I really don't know too much about their receiver core in regards to there's young and haven't been proven aside from Elite Neighbors. We did a very good job last year against them. Ronaldo Green, starting cornerback, did an amazing job in covering Malik. Harold Perkins, the all-world linebacker, man, he was a freshman last year. Didn't really do too much in regards to the first game against us, but over the course of the season, uh, he made his presence felt and made people understand why he was a Harold recruit and a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Big time playmaker, really good off the edge too in passing situations. So yeah, then you got Mason Smith. He's going to be suspended for the week 1 game against FSU. Real unfortunate situation. First of all, I think the NCAA they have to do better, right? Just suspending him for signing doing an autograph session prior to NIL was brought to the forefront. I think that's ridiculous, and just the consistency of it to kind of go in retro, not necessarily. Well, I'm not even going to get in that discussion. That's a discussion for another day. But I feel like Derek Jackson shouldn't be sitting at home either. He should have his waiver approved too. But that's a different conversation. But just speaking about the NCAA in general, they dropped the ball on that. But prior to the suspension, there was rumblings about him still, recovering from his ACL and being a little banged up during camp. But to have him missing from that defensive line is huge. Really big body from a 5-star recruit, NFL type of player. J.K. Johnson, the transfer cornerback from Ohio State, um, unfortunately had a season-ending injury during camp, so he's going to be out. Denver Harris, the transfer cornerback from Texas A&M, he's been having up and down camp too with some not necessarily off the field issues, but just issues in regards to the fight that LSU had and things like that. He was suspended for a quick second during camp, so their secondary is pretty shaky, and that's going to be a tough cover for those guys. I just think FSU matches up very well against LSU. How we want to run the ball their front. I think FSU can kind of do what they want in the run game against LSU due to the fact of missing Mason Smith in the middle and things like that. We should be able to eat in the run game. I think FSU can eat just about anybody in the run game, to be quite honest with you. But this game specifically, the front bar as well for them. Also in passing situations, we just got to do a good job of limiting Harold Perkins and scheming around him, chipping, whatever it may be, things like that. And you got to also remember BJ, the second round draft pick defensive end BJ Ajario. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing his name wrong. My apologies. But he got drafted in the second round last year, so he's no longer on the LSU defensive line. He was a handful for us last year. So just overall, and then speaking of last year, I know people like to talk about the final score, which is perfectly fine. But I was at that game. It was like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I looked up at the total at the stat at the jumbotron screen. Looked at the total yards. FSU was dominating that game within the 3.5 quarters. We definitely blew that in regards to that last 5 minutes, but just to see the total domination in regards to the total yards, it was mind blowing for me. I think FSU got a chip on their shoulder going into this year. And I think Mike Norvell could use that too, as far as a little motivational factor. FSU was ranked number 8 in the AP poll. You can use that as coach talk, right? They believe in you, but do they really believe in you? Nah, they don't really believe in you. They don't think you're on the level to compete for the actual national championship within that top 4 to top 5. So again, I think FSU wins against LSU. I think they win. Yeah, I got us winning week 1 against LSU. I just think everything matches up against FSU's favor. I really like our receivers against their defensive backs. I think we could get real active as Jordan Travis plays, how Jordan Travis has been playing, how I've been hearing he's been playing in camp, performing in camp rather. We shouldn't have any problems within the passing game against LSU. So I'm predicting the win in week 1. Moving on to Southern Miss in week 2. FSU should win this game also. You got the G5 team and Southern Miss coming up. Want to pretty much just get out that game relatively healthy and things like that. We should be at the point now where we should be taking care of these type of teams. I also remember when Southern Miss used to come to dope back in the 80s and had a gunslinger at quarterback in Brett Favre. Just some things I don't remember really. I just remember watching film and stuff like that. I'm a historian junkie. My apologies. But yeah, just going back and remembering that, and also remember Deion Sanders catching the pick 6 against Brett Favre too. Going on to game 3, we got Boston College Yeah, Boston College. I think FSU should win this game against Boston College. They don't have Zay Flowers out there anymore. That was the only guy that pretty much scared me for Boston College last year. And even last year, we blanketed Zay Flowers and dominated just from being, so much better than Boston College. So I don't see that changing this year as well. We should dominate BC again. This is the game everybody been talking about, right? Week 4 matchup against Clemson. They won 7 straight against FSU. We haven't beaten them since 2014. They had K.A. Club, that quarterback, he's going to be going to do his true sophomore year. He was up and down last year. He has that gunslinger mentality. So with the gunslinger mentality, it's kind of like boom or bust. You're going to throw a lot of touchdowns, throw for a lot of yards, and also you can have a lot of interceptions. And with Cade, it kind of comes with the territory. And it's kind of like Jameis Winston, so to speak, but not to that degree. I think he still has some growing pains, but he should be pretty good. Will Shipley, all-world running back, has had a lot of success against FSU. Like him a lot. The receiver room, it's a lot of improving guys. Last year, the receiver production was pretty pedestrian, if we're being quite honest. You got Antonio Williamson, slot receiver. He's real explosive. But other than that, it's a lot of unproven guys. I look for Cole Turner to have a big year for them as far as another option within the receiver room. The defense is loaded, right? Loaded. Barrett Carter, Andre Amuka, Nate Wiggins, Xavier Thomas. I was speaking to a person close to the Clemson program, and they think Nate Wiggins could be one of the best cornerbacks to come out of Clemson within the last 10 years or so. And that's saying a lot, as those guys have put a pretty good nucleus of defensive backs in the NFL. Jeremiah Trout Jr., probably one of the best linebackers within the ACC. He's going to be a handful. So defensively, they're stacked. Garrett Riley, the new offensive coordinator, coming over from TCU. It's going to be interesting to see how they look this year with Garrett Riley. He's a brother of Lincoln Riley, the head coach at USC. So it's going to be interesting to see how they look week 1 against the Duke Blue Devils, who isn't an easy team by any stretch at all. So I think FSU can win against Clemson just from an experience standpoint. We just seem like the more experienced team in the ACC, along with us being as talented as Clemson. Clemson is young in certain positions, and I think that bodes well for FSU. It's going to be on the road. It's going to be a hostile environment in Death Valley for sure. But again, I've been to some hostile environments in Death Valley to where FSU hushed the crowd pretty early. I'm not saying we're going to do the same thing within this year, but I do think this team will be ready enough for the challenge. And also, that 7 straight, I'm pretty sure, is imprinting back of those guys' minds, right? We haven't won the ACC championship since 2014, and we haven't been Clemson since 2014, right? So it's been a common theme with FSU or Clemson dominating the ACC, and whoever wins that game goes on to win the championship, due to us being in the same division at that point in time. So yeah, this is a game we really need. It's a big time rivalry game, and I think we finally get over that hump and we beat Clemson and start off 0-4. I'm sorry, not 0-4, 4-0. Hell, please don't start 0-4 again. We already seen that right in 2022. Going on to the next game, we got Virginia Tech. I think FSU will win that. We got Syracuse. I think FSU wins that game as well. We got Garrett Schrader, the senior quarterback, pretty good quarterback within the ACC. Ronnie Gaston Jr., big time playmaker threat as far as tight end / receiver for Syracuse. Dino Babers has done a really good job as well, man. Shout out to that. Shout out to Dino Babers as a head coach. I know he's been in the hot seat for the last couple of years, but last year he turned things around and Cuse put out a pretty good product, but I think it's just too much athletes for FSU. So FSU wins that game against Cuse as well. The Duke Blue Devils, they come into Tallahassee, right? First of all, let's give Mike Elko some flowers, man. I think he's a hell of a head coach, man. Did a really good job last year getting Duke to a 9-win season within year 1. Former defensive coordinator for Texas A&M and Notre Dame, did a really good job with turning Duke around and getting them into the mindset that they could feel like they could win the game, right? But just don't have enough athletes. We beat Duke as well, man. I think Riley Leonard's a pretty good quarterback. Joshua Moore and Jalen Callahan are pretty good receivers as well. They're bringing back 17 starters, so it's kind of similar to FSU last year. Hell, we had the same season as far as win total for the regular season, 9, and they're bringing back a plethora of starters as well. But I think it's just too much firepower for FSU, too many athletes on the field for Duke. But I do want to watch out that first game, how they play against Clemson. I think that could be a pretty interesting one. A lot of people are sleeping on Duke. I think they could kind of surprise some people. It's just not going to be FSU, I can promise you that. Wake Forest, we finally beat Wake Forest this year. Sam Hartman is currently in Notre Dame. He's not on campus anymore. A.T. Perry's in the NFL. I think Dave Clawson's a hell of a coach, but there's too many athletes for FSU. They're trying to beat Wake Forest this year as well. The Pittsburgh Panthers, this is a game that that I'm circling. It got my attention a little bit because it's a road game in Pitt. Tough team. Pat Narduzzi is a really good head coach. Um, they have a program, right? They have a mindset and a mentality in regards to grinding things out, just being physical in general. But again, I think FSU wins this game against Pitt. Just too much firepower. Following Pitt, we got the rivalry game against the Miami Hurricanes. I think Mike Norvell wants to embarrass them, to be quite honest with you. I think he wants to kind of duplicate what he did last year in regards to that 45-3 victory over the Miami Hurricanes. Big time rivalry. Now I know for the Miami fans, hell, Mario Cristobal himself, he wants to redeem himself from that 45-3. So they're putting all their eggs in the basket in regards to the FSU game. I mean, hell, they do it every year, right? We are their Super Bowl. This is the only game that pretty much matters to the Miami Hurricanes year in and year out. So I know they're going to be pretty high for this game as well. But again, I just think it's too much firepower for FSU. I think, um, yeah, they lost Will Mallory last year, who was their leading receiver. The offensive line should be a little bit better. I think the defense is going to be food, to be quite honest with you. The cornerbacks, they lost both of their cornerbacks, both of their starting quarterbacks to the NFL. They're starting some young corners. They're playing some young corners, maybe some true freshmen out there. Defensive tackle wise, I think they're too small within the interior. I think FSU could do the same thing they did last year as far as running the ball down their throats, counter here, counter left, whatever you may be, and also losing Jackson from Miami to FSU was a big loss for Miami in regards to their defensive tackle depth, big body, long arms, just a physical guy, right? We've all been hearing how well how well Daryl Jackson has been doing it at FSU. So for Miami to lose out on him has been pretty big in regards to the depth and also just the overall size of their defensive tackle room. So I think FSU does what they want physically in regards to that. Their offensive line is pretty good. Like, well, should be better this year. Got a couple transfers in, one from UCF, one from University of Alabama, and also they got some true freshmen that are highly rated and look to be pretty good as well. But again, I think it's just too much firepower. They also bringing in a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator too. So we'll see how it goes with Miami this year. But I just don't think from a firepower standpoint, they have enough. So FSU wins that rivalry game against Miami. I think Mike Norvell understands the assignment. It's going to be a big recruiting weekend as well for that Miami game. As you know, we like to have a lot of South Florida kids up for that game. So I feel like they're going to try to showcase the athletes we have against Miami and let them know, hey, this is the place you really want to be if you're a kid within the state of Florida. So FSU wins against Miami as well. Moving on to North Alabama. Don't want to spend too much time on it. I think FSU will win that game too. Just want to get healthy going into the UF game. And speaking of UF, you got the Florida Gators to cap off the regular season. Yeah. So when you place Anthony Richardson, top 5 draft pick with Graham Mertz, I feel like it's a big difference, right? Especially the threat that the AR brings to the table, which is within his legs. You got to respect the running ability of Anthony Richardson. He displayed his athleticism too many times on film to ignore it, and that's something Graham Mertz just doesn't have. And they have 2 really good backs, but at the same time, I want to see how those backs will fare this season without the threat of Anthony Richardson, because as a defensive coordinator or defense in general, you got to respect the running quarterback and Anthony Richardson. So all of the attention can't go directly on the running backs. I think within this 2023 season with Graham Mertz at the helm at quarterback, you're not worried about Graham Mertz hurting you in the run game. So you can focus more on pinning your ears back and focus on those 2 running backs. And I think it's going to be tough sledding, but I think I see what type of team Florida wants to be. They want to be physical on defense, have low scoring games, and just win ugly in the run game, right? Run the football, pass it here and there, kind of protect Graham Mertz and have him be a game manager. Just don't know how good they are up front to kind of do that. They lost 3 all conference linemen, with one being an All American. So it's going to be interesting to see how that offensive line look. It's going to be new guys across the board. They're playing some young receivers too. They have some young talented receivers that have signed with Florida in the 2023 recruiting class. They're a true freshman right now, but I just don't know how ready I'm not saying how ready they'll be, just how much of a factor they'll be within this year, as there'll be some growing pains for the true freshmen. So you got Graham Mertz, the game manager, some young receivers, some very young receivers, and some new offensive linemen. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how the Florida Gators look this year. A lot of people have them around a 5.5 win total. For me personally, I think they'll be floating around the 500 record. 6-6, 7-5, 5-7. I can see any scenario within those 3 within the Florida Gators. Defensively, I think the defense is food. They're one of the worst defenses in the country last year. Now they do have a new defensive coordinator, a guy they hired from Southern Miss, but at the same time, Southern Miss defense wasn't anything special. They're a middle pack team within their respective conference in regards to the defensive ranks. So we'll see how it goes. Well, how it balls well, excuse me, for Florida this year. But I think they're going. There's going to be some growing pains for the Florida Gators. It's a real tough schedule, and to have us on the end of the schedule to go ahead and bury them for the regular season is going to be beautiful. So FSU wins that as well. So there you have it. I think FSU goes 12-0 for the regular season. We go into the playoff. Well, not said we got to go into the ACC championship and then hopefully win that and then go into the playoffs. I won't give any championship prediction at this point in time because I don't know if it'll be a rematch with Clemson, North Carolina, however it may be in regards to the rest of the teams in the ACC. We're just going to focus on the regular season here. I think we go 12-0. Just looking how everything matches up within that Clemson game and that LSU games. Those are the two games I'm circling as far as the ones that have my attention the most, just from a roster standpoint. I feel like those are the two best teams we will play. We got them early in the season, so we're going to see how good FSU is, how good or how bad we are. We'll see if we warranted for the hype or if the hype was a little overrated or not, just for this upcoming year within the first couple weeks of the season. Now, it's a possibility where I can see us going 11-1 or 10-2, and I can still see us winning the ACC championship within the 10-win season or 11-win season as well. I don't see another 9-3 season. We did that last year. I feel like FSU has gotten a lot better since last year. I don't feel like we'll be going 9-3 this year. Anything below 10 wins would be a surprise for me. Let's just look at it. We had 3 losses last year, right? Within those 3 losses, the average, if you combine the average for those games, the average point of loss was 6 points. But the average loss was about 6 points. So you look at that. You look at Jared Verse. Within those 3 losses, we had a lot of injuries. Jared Verse was injured. Fabian Lovett, Jordan Travis, he had some nicks in the road as well. Robert Scott and Trayshawn Ward. I mean, these are X factor type of guys for FSU. And as you guys know, depth-wise, 2023 is amazing. But 2022 and years prior, it's been a work in progress in regards to our depth and just getting guys on board in regards to the depth. Because you guys know, we have one injury on the offensive line in years past. It could be detrimental for FSU. We have one injury here, one injury there. It could be pretty much detrimental. Now, that's not the case, though. We have pretty ample depth all across the board. So if we did, Lord forbid, have a key injury, we could have guys that could kind of be serviceable in their replacement. In years past, that hasn't been something FSU has had the luxury of having. So to have, you got to factor that in regards to us going those 3 losses last year. There was a lot of injuries within that time frame. So fast forward to 2023. You bring 80% of your roster back, and then you go aggressive in the portal and get some game breakers in the portal. You got Keon Colton, who was one of the best receivers in the transfer portal, who lucked up in FSU lap during the spring entry portion. You got Byers, the offensive lineman out of UTEP, who's been a big time addition for us. We beat out USC for him, Ohio State as well. Gilbert Elmis, the transfer defensive end from South Carolina, beat out LSU. Braden Fisk, who's been a game changer for FSU on the defensive line, physical guy, brought a presence. You get him out of the transfer portal as well. Beat out Notre Dame and USC for him. Ventrell Cypress, who was the best cornerback in the ACC last year, first team all ACC. You bring him to FSU. So again, Keziah Holmes, who was on the roster last year but couldn't play, transfer running back from Penn State, big time playmaker. He's been making a lot of plays within fall camp as well. Casey Roddick, you bring him in from Colorado, had over 30 starts at Colorado. Experience. So again, FSU experience-wise, just from a depth and talent standpoint, it's night and day from 2022. And we were damn good in 2022 and left some games on the table, as we said, in 2022. And that's with shaky depth in certain positions and injuries that hurt us within the middle of the season. So again, I think FSU is primed for a big-time year. They're relatively healthy right now, so why not? I got to know it's going 12-0. Make sure you guys like this channel and subscribe. Let's jump into some callers, man. I know a lot of people want to talk and see what's going on in regards to my predictions for this upcoming year. Let's jump into some callers, guys. It's a link in the comment section. If you guys want to join the show, hit that link and let's chat it up a little bit. Let's talk. And while we get some callers in, man, make sure you guys, like I say, like and subscribe to the channel. I know I've already got some people fired up, ready to go. But it's definitely going to be interesting year for FSU. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. If you want to join the call-in portion of the show, go ahead and join it. Shout out my dog Freddie Stevenson, man, former FSU fullback. Salty Chris. Depth is not O line is not. Oh, excuse me. O line depth is not great. If they lose Francis, Leo Cole, and lights out, I don't want to wish injury on nobody. We'll see how it plays. But yeah, we've been in that situation for not having great offensive line depth. It's my boy Groove. Groove, what's going on, man? How you doing, bro? Yeah, it's just calling. It's just calling. All right, talk. Bro, what you got, man? Welcome to Dope Talk, bro, man. My dog Groove has been a friend of the show in regards to the Roll Up Network. Fan. Love to have you on, bro. How you doing? We lost you. I think we lost Groove. He left. But again, if you guys want to join the call-in portion, go ahead, hit that comment section, hit the link in the comments, and let's get it at them. And it's going to be interesting to see the recruiting visits within the 2023 year with all the games we have, not just for the 2024 cycle, the 2025 cycle and beyond. FSU is still building a lot of relationships in regards to that cycle. And if we do well in regards to this season, how I expect us to do, that's going to, of course, catapult us in regards to those recruiting efforts for the future classes. Is the starting quarterback for the Ireland game next year on the roster? That is a very good question. We'll see how FSU attacks the situation off field after this season. I could see us going portal, getting a quarterback within the portal, but the starting quarterback could be on the roster. I don't have an issue with Tate Rodemaker, to be honest with you. He came in within the Louisville game, did what he had to do. He earned my respect during that game, made some big time throws. I know a lot of people wince at having a 3 to 4 year guy, that hasn't started the game, then started for 1 year or so. But you guys, if you look back on the 2000, not the early 90s, hell, that's literally what FSU was in that situation. Wait your turn, then you come in, you red shirt, you understand the playbook, things like that, and you get in and you go from there. So I think the starting quarterback next year could be in the roster, and also Brock Glenn has been amazing so far in camp. The true freshman, he's been turning a lot of heads. So watch out for Brock Glenn as well. He'll be competing for that starting position within the 2024 season also after the season. Lot, boy, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Appreciate you joining, man. Talk to me,
What's
dog.
going on? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Talk to me. What's your prediction for the 2023 season?
What's up, man? Yeah, I'm just trying to see what's man, we looking good, man. I just hope we could just start all right. Like you say, this first month of September gonna say everything. But you think AJ definitely gonna get pushed out of there next year with Luke and Glenn on the
Man,
roster?
that's a good question, bro. I can see a situation and we can be completely honest, completely, bro. I can see a situation to where AJ Duffy probably don't start the game at FSU and could possibly transfer. Don't want to wish that, but you just know how the game kind of goes with quarterbacks nowadays, right? If they kind of see the writing on the wall, they get out of there and go to programs where they can play a couple years, which I understand. So, like you said, just Brock Glenn's he's been amazing. He's been lights out in practice. He's been doing his thing. And you already know how I feel about Luke. I think Luke is the one. I think Luke is the best quarterback recruit we've had since Jameis Winston. I think he could be that damn good. I don't think he could. I'm not gonna say I don't think. I'm not going to predict a year one, but it's going to be a point in time where Luke is going to command everything, and he gets everything. He's just going to be the rest would be history. So yeah, I do think I don't. The prospects of AJ Duffy being the starting
Okay.
back for FSU, it doesn't look really likely for me right now.
And the next thing, man, how we gonna look at linebackers after this year? They say Lundy looking good right now, but when Deloach and Bethune gone, like we gonna hit the portal.
We could possibly hit the portal, but you got to Lundy. Yeah, you got we could possibly hit the portal. I can see that for sure.
No,
I'm
you got
looking.
Omar Graham,
Yep, Omar Graham.
Omar Graham, and
You got
Blake
Blake Nicholson, and also the transfer linebacker that we got from the transfer linebacker that we got from for Northwestern. Excuse me.
Sider. I mean, yeah,
He's been making a lot of plays. A lot of plays. He's been a
yeah.
pleasant surprise so far in camp. So I can see him being a factor within the linebacker room as well within the 2024 season. But again, I also think it's going to be pretty interesting as far as the. But yeah, you're like right. Is it what's the kid's name? Cryer, the transfer linebacker.
Crider.
Yeah, Cryer, Justin Cryer.
His name.
Also, will be interesting. I think FSU. We kind of saw it last year within the transfer portal that FSU kind of we were able to kind of have our pick a little bit, right, in regards to who we wanted. We was able to be selected within the transfer portal. If we do what we do this year on the field, which I think will be pretty good, we're going to feature some, Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, who I didn't mention earlier, who's my freaking X factor. You guys know, I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah, Mitch Bell, but you gotta talk about Bell.
right.
Bell a bit step up from McDonald, no offense.
Correct. I think, yeah, absolutely. I think all three of our tight ends going to be a step up from last year, just to be quite honest with you. But yeah, Jaheim Bell, he's a freaking X factor. I think he's going to be the X factor for the offense, just for the simple fact that he does so many things on the field, and he's going to take pressure off of Coleman and Johnny Wilson because you can't really double those guys. Because if you double those guys, then Jaheim Bell is going to explode
Yeah, he
everything.
ain't gonna eat.
He's right. He's going to explode everything in the middle. So it's going to be like pick your poise within the offense. You're going to let Keon Coleman get off. You're going to let Wilson get off. You're going to let Jaheim Bell get off. Winston right within the slot. Jordan Travis can kill you with your legs. You got Trey Benson, who's going to be back from last year, who's just getting started. So again, it's going to be pick your poison. So I think Jaheim Bell is going to be an X factor as well within the for FSU. But to go back to your
One more thing, man. One more thing.
I got one more take in regards to that. If all of those transfers we just named do what they're supposed to do, the portal's going to be even more attractive for FSU, right? So now Mike can just sit back and like, hey, I want you, I want you, I want
Yep.
you. You're not going to be knocking on that door trying to get into FSU just from the simple fact what we did over the last couple of years as far as on the transfer portal development. So again, the the
Oh
2024
yeah. Especially if Keon and Johnny can make it to that first round. You
correct,
know, first, second round picks. You know, everybody gonna want to come have that 1 year jump or whatever to make it to the next level.
correct. So again, it's
Jermaine
going to
Johnson
be
started it.
correct. And so it's going to be a very attractive spot for FSU. So at that point in time, if we do, have to go linebacker within the transfer portal, they can be real selective and get an actual guy, a player out of the transfer portal. So what you
Straight up, man. But I'm gonna get out of here. But man, I'm trying to make it to the tailgate. But my baby birthday September 2nd, and my other daughter birthday September 3rd. So man, it's
Ooh,
gonna be tight.
it's going to be tough. It's
But I'm
going to be.
trying to make it down there to Orlando to party with you boys. You know how we do it.
Oh man, you already know how the tailgates go, man. If you pull up for this, it's going to definitely be epic. But if not, though, man, we'll see you in the regular season for sure. We're going to have tailgates at all the home games.
You know that 100 knows for life.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, bro.
100.
Got a lot, boy, man. Big time Noah fan. Kicked a lot of times. A person, real good dude, real good dude. Again, man, if you guys want to join the show, go ahead and hit the comment section. Let's talk a little bit. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. But yeah, I do think just from a standpoint of proof of concept, I do think if FSU do what they do in the field this year, the transfers will. Shout out my boy Grimes, man. uh, he's tough on my guy Dale, man. Shout out to Grimes. But I do think if FSU do what they're supposed to do on the field, and the transfers do in regards to making big time plays, it'll be even more easy in regards to being selective in the transfer portal and just getting more players out. Where's the tailgate? The tailgate will be in Orlando. The tailgate link will be in the comments. It's on Church Street. Make sure you pull up. We're going to have all types of food, man. Barbecue. We're going to have chicken. We're going to have ribs. We're going to have burgers. We're going to have hot dogs. We have some seafood as well, man. We're going to have some crabs, some stone crabs, some shrimp. We had that as well. The Orlando tailgate is going to be 3 lots. We're going to have multiple DJs inside also. So make sure you guys kick it at the tailgate, the biggest tailgate out. We're going to party real good going into the LSU game. And to be relatively healthy, leaving out of camp is big. If you guys want to join the show, hit that comment section. Let's have a dialogue. We didn't speak on the Jordan Travis Heisman hype either, man. I really think the Heisman campaign as well. I really think JT13 has a really good shot at the Heisman, especially if FSU does what they're supposed to do on the field. His numbers are going to be there. He was third in the country last year in total QBR, and I think he's just scratching the surface in regards to how good he could be. To hear Mike Norvell say Jordan Travis, this is in spring practice, Jordan Travis was the one of the most improved players on the roster as far as a developmental standpoint, leaving spring said a lot, and it resonated a lot with me in regards to that, because that's for a quarterback to have the year that he had last year, to say he's one of the most improved players. He, is just scratching the surface in regards to his potential. So I think Jordan Travis is he wants to show a lot of people too. There's a lot of naysayers talking about his prospects as well. So he wants to prove a lot of doubters wrong too. So I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder personally, along with the team goal concept. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season goes. But I think Jordan Travis has a good shot at the Heisman. If it's not Heisman, the season will be great as it is. But again, if you guys want to join the show, make sure you guys call in. Damon Adams, who do I think would be starting in the slot? That's a good question. You guys, if you guys been following me on Twitter and going kind of back a while, I've been saying Destin Hill is one of my favorite receiver prospects in regards to. Shout out to my boy James Coleman, 1331 Church Street, right on the hood side of Orange Blossom. But y'all safe with us, man. But yeah, if you guys know, as far as a slot receiver, you get this Destin Hill in general. You guys know he's one of my favorite receivers out of the 2021 recruiting cycle. I loved him a lot, man. Big time playmaker. To get him on campus finally has been glowing reviews of Destin, just how in shape he's been, how he's taken to the playbook. Physical kid. So I think he could possibly start at that slot receiver. But I think it'll be him and Destin. I'm sorry, excuse me. It'll be him and Winston Wright in regards to the top guys within the slot. You can't forget about Winston Wright too, man. He broke his leg last year due to the car accident. But last year, Winston Wright was our most heralded receiver coming in through the transfer portal out of West Virginia. He made a lot of plays for West Virginia as a receiver. Big time playmaker for them as a receiver, and also kick returner. He was a very explosive kick returner, taking multiple kicks back to the house. So to have Winston Wright healthy this year, it just strengthens that room altogether, man. Dugans, this is the best room Dugans has had at FSU by far. I mean, by far. And coming into when Dugans first got to FSU, the room was terrible. The receiver room was terrible. He knew that. Said, just give me some guys, give me some years to get some guys in, and it'll flip. And I'll be completely honest with you. I was tough on Dugans early on. I think a lot of fans were too, just from the product and the recruiting paralysis in regards to we weren't getting that much traction. Then, Lord behold, last year, man, he changed everything when he got Hakeem Williams, Vandrevius Jacobs, and things like that. So that receiver room has been flipped. Groove, we finally got you. What's good, bro? Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro, man. That's my dog, man. Going back to the roller days, man. You always been a friend of the show. Definitely came on and showed us plenty of love, man. Also the takes too, well informed takes, man. With real good conversation. Well, you know ball, so if you know ball, we go rock. Simple as that, man. But talk to me. How many games gonna look this? Well, the first one. Let's talk about that Patterson. Let's talk about the Patterson commitment. You guys got a big time commitment this weekend with Patterson, and me and you was going back and forth a little bit on the timeline last week in regards to where he would go. Let's talk about the Patterson commitment from the Miami standpoint and where you guys was thinking. And I remember you said 3 months ago, and I think I kind of agree with you to an extent, saying it's been locked up for 3 months. I do believe 3 months ago y'all was far in the head the favorite, locked in to go at him. But within that last week or so, FSU started to get some momentum, and I think the staff got aware of that and tried to do and did that thing down the stretch to lock it up. Well, go ahead, bro. Talk to me.
One of my people, I know that was kind of close to the situation, had pretty much kind of told me what the lick read on that kid back in like June. He was pretty much kind of locked down. Some things went into play that helped Miami in our favor. So we signed some kids that he's friends with. Um, but that's why I was so. That's why I was so confident. That's why I was. That's why I told you. That's why I said this going to be real funny. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You had supreme confidence, which you should. You feel what I'm saying? And the Hurricanes came on top this time, man.
They
So
did. They
hopefully we can
did.
keep them in the fold. Hopefully we win this year. My expectations of the Miami Hurricanes is always 10 wins or bust. But me personally, I think it's going to be a 7-5 year. I'm just not sold on Mario or the. I'm okay with the OC, but the DC doesn't really do it for me. Hopefully they
But
prove me
I don't know,
wrong.
man, because he had Marshall Humping. I will give him that. He had Marshall Humping. But what you've been hearing as far as camp prognosis and things like that with the defense, I know just from looking at the Marshall teams, he had a pretty solid foundation with Marshall. But I remember we had this conversation too, as far as why he's never got over that hump to big time P5 jobs. No, he had off the field issues, but like you said, it was that 1 year with Marshall that was great. The other years have been kind of so for as far as
That's
his
that,
coaching career.
and that's me. That's my thing. I mean, you 1 year of a good defense don't make you a good DC. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And we passed up on a guy that had a history of good defenses, even his time as a head coach. You know what I'm saying? And we passed on. Even if him over the hump is, to me, him over the hump is still better than what we got in Guidry. Because the simple fact that Guidry, we don't know. You feel what I'm saying? We don't know what he's done. You know what I'm saying? Or
Mm-hmm.
what he can do. I mean, far as, I do like what I'm hearing far as camp. They're showing a lot of looks. They're using James Williams in different aspects, far as in the box, using the size and, athleticism. I do like that part of his creativeness. Hopefully it stays aggressive like everybody says. But my deal is it seems like he's more predicated on stopping the pass than the run. He's more so a pass rush type scheme. And me, that
You got to
doesn't.
earn the right. You got to earn the right to rush the passer.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't just be that. Just can't be your scheme. Even with, like, a lot of people hate Diaz, but look what he's doing at Penn State. He stops the run. He's gonna cause tackles for loss. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, earn the right to rush the passer. And I think, him, sometimes you can scheme too much and you can scheme yourself out of plays. You know what I'm saying? And it don't take being super creative far as fronts to be a good DC. And I just hope he doesn't overthink it as far as his schemes and trying to being too exotic and kids getting confused. And because if you think you get exotic on offense, but I'm still going to get exotic on defense also. So can the players adjust? When you try to
Exactly.
be too complex, that's when the issues come into play. Just like when we had Mark D'Onofrio, his offense it was too complex. He wanted them to do too much, and and our defense was horrible. But when we simplified it, we got with Diaz and everything took off. But that's just my take on it. Hopefully they prove me wrong. I'm predicting a 7-5, but I do got us beating Florida State this year. Me and
Oh
you
no,
already talked about this. I got us beating Florida State. You know what I'm saying? I got us beating y'all.
you got to come
I,
on to the game. But real quick, man, we just got a super chat breaking news, man. We just got a super chat. Shout out to the super chat we just got, man. Shout out to it. Let's go ahead and play. Let's play my video, man. Let's play my song.
Tell them to bring me my money.
It has been all Knowles. They came here to break Miami's will.
Right, dominant, absolutely dominant.
Make them quit tonight.
Appreciate the donation. But yeah, so yeah, if you guys do want to donate and have any questions, make sure you guys hit that Vmore Cash App. As you know, we weren't able to monetize as of yet. But yeah, I agree with you in regards to those aspects. You're definitely not beating FSU. But bro, are you put up to the game? I'm put up to the
Man,
game. You should come hang out.
I'm trying to, man. See how much I don't use a lot of my time at work for football season, right? But I have
Mhm.
the last half of November and the entire December off.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'm
you got
trying
to
to get
come
a
on, man.
coworker to switch with me that weekend so I can go to the game because that's like my final weekend that I have to work until I'm off
Mhm.
for a long time. So I'm trying to get him. I'm probably gonna pay him like $200 to switch with me.
Yeah, man,
I'm
definitely come
trying.
pull up, man. We're gonna hang out good and hang out at the tailgate. What about the offense? What you been hearing about the offense and the new offensive coordinator for Miami?
Man, I've been from what I've been hearing is they're going vertical. We're doing a lot more deep passes this year that we really didn't do last year. I don't know if there's more so scheme. I'm saying it was scheme, but a lot of people like to blame the players. TVD was hurt, but what I've been hearing so far that it was a lot of vertical passes, utilizing guys in space. That's why I'm not as hard on Shannon Dawson because he's coached at that Power 5 level and he's been around some great offensive minds. So I'm more excited to see what he does offensively. But I think like I said, we still gonna run the ball. He had a couple of thousand yards rushes at Houston, so I'm not worried about us running the ball. But I just don't want us to be run heavy. I want us to be 60-40, 60 pass to 40 run. Nowadays you have to pass to set up the run. But you can, but it's a game to game basis. Hopefully we be able to run when we want to run. Late game, kill the drive, win the game, secure the game. We be able to move the ball. I am excited what I've seen and heard about Mark Fletcher. I think he's gonna be a great weapon for us in the third down, fourth down,
Okay.
end the game situations to kind of grind the guys out. Him along with Don Chandler, that's gonna be a dynamic far as power back duo. I like the Ajay Hall kid that I've not heard about. He's more of a versatile guy. Um, you know, passes out the backfield. Shannon Dawson has a track record, of utilizing those backs. So I'm excited about the offense more so than the defense. So I think offensively we'll be good. Hopefully the defense can keep up.
All right, so you got 75. So I know even though you ain't got FSU included, that's gonna be one of the L's. Who else do you guys? Who do you feel like you're gonna be losing? What about the A&M game? How do you feel about that game?
I don't think
Their D
Mar-
line with their offensive line, that could be. I know they're a big offensive line, big defensive line, and I know a lot of your fans are complaining about, I guess, the size and the depth of the D tackles in regards to the run game. So that's going to be the biggest test, in my opinion, for that game.
and that's my thing. Are we going to be able to stop the run? Because I already know Jimbo is going to come out and try to run the ball just like they did last year. But
Hmm.
also, it goes down to coaching. I think that Texas A&M have the better coaches. They have the more proven coaches. Jimbo is a better. I'm sorry, but Jimbo is a better coach than Mario Cristobal. When it comes down to those critical situations, will Mario be able to get out his own way and make the correct call? Take like last year, taking the field goal when you need to take the field
And that's
goal.
another thing too, bro. The in-game coaching decisions were
Horrible.
it was terrible last year. Be quite honest, it was terrible last year, especially in that game.
Yeah. So that's I'm just I'm anxious to see if he improved on making in game adjustments. But I just think hopefully I'm not gonna ever say we're gonna lose. I don't want us to lose, but just I think coaching is gonna be the deciding factor. I think we match up with them far as athletic wise, skill guys. You know what I'm saying? I think our offensive line is gonna be pretty good this year. I think we match up with them far as with weapons and players. But games like that is not worn off that. It's worn off coaching and making and scheming and making adjustments. And
Correct.
I think especially with him adding Patino on the offensive side of the ball,
Yeah.
you're going against a guy that's never coached at a Power 5 level. It's
Oh
levels
yeah.
for a reason. You
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying? It's levels for a reason. So I got us coming up short that game. You know, my prayers are saying we win that game. I want us to win, going undefeated and going into conference play. But I got my prediction. I got a loss to Texas A&M. I got a loss to Virginia, Boston College, Clemson. and what was the other team I had? Oh
It
my
was
god!
Florida State, you know it.
No, it was not Florida State. It was not. I won't ever say we're gonna lose to Florida State. I don't care how sorry we are. I won't ever say we're losing to Florida State. But I think I won't ever say that.
I feel you. I'm the same way, my brother. I feel you.
Yeah, but I think we got a tough stretch, and we're gonna drop some game. Drop some, Virginia was a loss. I got us lose
Hmm.
to Virginia. Virginia always played us tough. They played us tough last year. We went into 3 overtimes and had to win with Jake running, scoring a touchdown. Boston College always caused us problems, and it's in late November, the last game of the season, so it's gonna be cold. I don't know if we played them. I think we played them at Boston College.
Hmm.
Last time, Clemson is Clemson. I just think that coaching wise, I just think that they got us. But as far as game, I think we're gonna, like I said, I think we're gonna beat y'all. Actually, by 10 or more points this year, and we already
Oh,
got our
shit.
behind the scenes bet. You know what I'm
Yeah, we
saying
do.
on that.
We are the locked in. All
And
right,
we
bro.
also
Last
got a
question I
bet for
got for
next
you.
week.
You said go ahead, bro. What you got?
We also got that bet for next week.
No, we didn't, bro. Me and you on the
Yes,
lock this
we
in.
did.
I'm gonna go back to the DMs
Hey,
in the chat.
hey,
I'm gonna go
I'm
back to
gonna
the
pull
DMs.
that up. I'm gonna pull it up.
We
I'm
got the
gonna
paper
pull it up.
trail. We got a paper
We
trail.
got a
If we
paper
do,
trail. It's in the DM.
we cool. We definitely got a paper trail.
We got a paper trail. Don't
Nah, we
get
definitely
scared
do.
now.
Oh no.
Don't
I,
get
I
scared
think we're
now.
gonna win for sure. But if we do have a bet, we locked in. But last question before I get you out there. So if you guys go 7-5, how do you feel like that would bode well for you guys on the trail for this cycle? Do you feel like it'll be some flips down the stretch, or how do you? If you go 7-5, how do you feel like the recruiting season will end for Miami?
Okay, last year a lot of the guys was committed to Miami on the what if thing and the vision that he could sell, right? Okay, we give you the benefit of the doubt. This year is not a benefit of the doubt. If we go 7-5, I expect certain kids to flip, especially if it's a close race and say like Florida State is having a great season. You know what I'm saying? I think we could have see some flips down the line because at the end of the day, these kids want to see, see wins. You know, you know what I'm saying? But I do see some flips coming if we have a season similar to last year. I don't think the NIL is going to be as impactful this year as it was last year. Um, but it does. But from what I've been told, we are playing a lot of freshmen this year, so that could also help saying that they can get on the field. So
Mhm.
it's a double edged sword though. You feel? But I think
Right.
it just depends. It just depends on the player. Some players may just say, "Okay, look at it as an opportunity that I can play early," and other guys are like, "Hey, look, man, I want to play for a winner. This guy, I don't, it don't seem like he got it. I'm gonna go the other way." Especially D tackles and D linemen because shoot, man, Joe Salavea is not doing good on the trail right now. I told everybody, I got this segment with Coach Hayes, and I had battled Flo, and I told him Mario made the dumb decision of keeping Joe Salavea instead of putting DVD on the field as a coach somewhere. That's your best recruiter on staff besides himself. But you rather be loyal to a guy that hasn't did anything on the trail to a guy that you bring into every household, you know what I'm saying,
While
to
being off
close
the
these
damn
deals.
field.
You feel what I'm saying? You got to
Right.
figure out a way to get them on the field. But man,
Right.
like I said, man, let somebody else get on here and chat it up, man. I appreciate you, man, for bringing me on. Let me chat. And like I said, I'll be back. We definitely got to come on my show for the season when we play you guys, and then hopefully I
Hell
can come
yeah.
back here and chop it up with you so we can talk some ish.
Yeah, man. Send me the invite, bro. We definitely go do it. And then for the Miami, we definitely gonna have you back on, my brother.
Hey, if you follow me on Twitter, Storm Groove. I'm not one of those Miami fans that are obnoxious and just troll. I'm a cool Miami fan, so and I support a lot of Florida State. My best friend plays safety at Florida State, Darius McClure. I'm real good friends with J.R. Bryan and Tony Carter also. But follow me, on Twitter, Storm Groove. Also, if you like some other content, I got my show called Storm Warner with my good friend, my brother A Black, man. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. And I'm finna
Most definitely,
listen that
dog.
on YouTube.
Much love, man. Follow my dog, man. Appreciate you, Guru. That's my guy, Groove. Big friend of the show. He'll be back on, man. Love the energy. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's get somebody else on. Justin, I seen you had joined a little bit, but you back out. Hop back on, man, so we can chop it up. Love the energy, by the way, man, for the first show, man. Appreciate all the love. Who do I think would be QB2? Who I think would be QB2? I'm gonna go Tate right now. I'm going to safe side and go Tate, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point during the season, or hell, even the beginning of the season. But I think at some point during the season down the line, I would not be surprised if Glenn takes over the QB2 position. But again, I think it'd be Tate. And for me, man, yeah, I'm an experienced type of guy. I'm an experienced type of guy, and Tate has had a lot of experience, and he showed what he could do last year. So again, make sure you guys like and subscribe to this channel. 1 second, trying to get some stuff in order. But yeah, I think QB2 would possibly be. I think it'd be Tate. Got any other callers that's ready to go? Yeah, say Groove be telling elite lies. Yeah, man, Groove be telling some lies, man. But again, though, that's my guy Groove, man. He tell more truth than lies. I will say that, man. He's being real honest about everything he's been seeing in regards to possibly just not working. And a lot of that stuff he's been saying has been kind of coming true for Miami so far. Four, 6, 7. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We'll give it a few more minutes for the people to join.
Florida State, your brothers, your team, your heartbeat. We some dogs, we ain't no puppies.
That's how it's gonna be the 2023 year too, man. We win that national championship this year. One second. I'm trying to get a shout out to my guy Ant, man. I'm trying to get the cash out going, man. 1 second. Just send a donation. Want to definitely get your donation read off. It's just been a little slow right now. How do I feel about Jeremiah Smith? I think FSU is in a good spot with Jeremiah Smith. They're also playing it perfectly too, man. Jeremiah Smith has one official visit left. Well, he doesn't have one official visit left. He's scheduled one official visit left. As you guys know, you pretty much have unlimited unofficial visits currently now. So he has one official visit left, and that's going to be in December to FSU. So to have Jeremiah Smith come on within that's the perfect time to possibly try to get a flip. So we'll see how that goes. But I do feel good. I think FSU is in a good spot. They're playing their cards right in regards to Jeremiah Smith. I know Coach Dugas is doing an excellent job in regards to the recruitment of Jeremiah Smith. Just got to keep playing the long game, keep chipping away at it. And also, don't be surprised if Jeremiah Smith ends up at the LSU game as well. Been hearing about from a little birdie that he possibly could be coming to the LSU game. So shout out to Jeremiah Smith. I think we're in a good spot. Shout out to my guy Frank Frederick Drayton, man, for the donation to Dope Talk, man. Let's play my music, Harlan. Appreciate the donation and love, man.
I said, are you strong? They said, I'm strong if you strong. And I said, we strong then.
We definitely strong, man. We definitely strong as a community. Appreciate the love. First play from scrimmage, it would be a traditional run or play action hit the tight end the flat. First play from scrimmage. Man, let's send a fucking message, right? First play from scrimmage, man. We going deep to Johnny Wilson. We going deep to Coleman. Play action and Trey Benson. We going deep. Let's set the tone for the 2023 season. And I think Mike is that type of guy too, man. He definitely is a tone setter type of guy. So I could definitely see him going in that regards. You guys want to join the show, go ahead and hit that comment section. We're going to end the show pretty soon if we don't get any callers in. But again, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Would like this video, rather, subscribe to the channel. Nah, Reggie definitely do not have the official cash app for the donations. Do not listen to nothing Reggie say. If that cash app isn't what's on the screen, do not send it. Reggie got all the money. He got plenty of money, man. He need to be cash apping everybody in the chat, man. He definitely could do it instead of buying some dunks. Go Gators, here to support the show. Got the gold. Noah's going 11-1. Appreciate you, Drew. My dog from Duval, man. Much love, dog. Appreciate you. I don't think we got any more callers. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the show again, man. Appreciate the show. Appreciate the love. Excuse me. It's been a dope first episode, man. We're just going ahead and continue to build on this. This upcoming Wednesday, we have an LSU beat reporter from On 3. He's going to be on to talk about the LSU Tigers going into game week. Hey, it's game week, right? So we got to prepare like the boys on the team, man. We got to get some film, man. So whenever we get ready for each week, rather, we're going to have a guest, a reporter guest from the opposing team, just to give some takes on the team. Let us know injuries, how they're looking in practice, how they match up against FSU, and get their prediction on the prospective game for that week. So we have the On 3 beat reporter for LSU coming on next Wednesday where we go live. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. It's time to go up, baby. It's Dope Talk.